Waiting for the result. Waiting for the count.
17-2.
Oh my gosh, we did. Chicago's public access TV employees finally got a union in 2015. Chicago Access Network TV has been operating since the 80s, and all the while, the workers there had no representation.
There is always a concern to focus on the rate structure of
The city's cable enabling ordinance hearings in 1983 created the legal foundation for CAN TV.
You have a statement for the committee?
Everyday working people wanted access to cable television production so they could have their own voice.
I think should be ready in a minute.
We're tired of being the voice of Chicago, but we have not having a voice here where we work. And that's why we're standing here. And we're going to win. We've taken one step, and we're going to take it all the way. When do we want a union? Now. Thank you.
This is an organizing drive, and today dozens of people from various groups, Jobs with Justice, Arise Chicago, Fight for 15, SEIU 73, Andy Thayer with the Gay Liberation Group, he came out. I mean, we've got like a whole group of people who believe in social justice and who believe in the rights of workers. So they came out to support the CAN TV employees today. Trying to form a union is a tough thing today. Trying to stand up to management, it could be so difficult when you're dealing with fear and intimidation and coercion, and then just the lack of respect. And I applaud the employees at CAN TV today to decide that, hey, we're not going to take it anymore. We're sick and tired of the disrespect, the unfairness. So they're organizing under NABET CWA Local 41 here in Chicago. We have a vast majority of the employees want to go union. 75%. There'll be an election. It's an NLRB supervised election. And when we get the majority of the votes, then the company will be ordered to recognize us, recognize the employees as a union, and that NABET CWA is their bargaining representative. And after that, we'll begin negotiating a new contract, terms and wages, hours, working conditions, and other terms and conditions of this contract. And during this meeting today, or during this rally today, the executive director stepped out, and she made a commitment that the company will be neutral. They will not oppose the voice of the people, the voice of the members, and they will not harass, intimidate, coerce, threaten any of the employees to vote against unionization.
CAN TV respects, and we ask others to respect, the right of CAN TV employees to exercise their free will in this election. As an employer, we will not take any actions that interfere with the exercise of those fundamental rights. Whatever the outcome of the election, CAN TV will fully support the employees' decision. And if their decision is to unionize, we pledge to work cooperatively with NABET Local 41.
That was an encouraging sign today, having them come out and pretty much say, "Hey, we support your efforts to unionize." Although they stopped short of voluntary recognition, that would have been great.
This struggle crosses all boundaries. There are no boundaries, for we are all one, and we are all tied to the same garment of mutual destiny. With that message and with that support, I ask for Reverend Oscar Varnado to come forward. He is a United Church of Christ pastor and a very proud member of SEIU Local 73. Reverend Oscar.
SEIU 73 is a long-time customer of CAN TV. Long-time customer of CAN TV. So we want you to know that you have our support inside the building. You have someone inside the building that you could come to and express your opinions and have somebody that supports you. SEIU stands with you. We want you to keep fighting. We want you to keep standing. We don't want you to turn around. We don't want you to quit. This is a basic right, the right to organize, and you have that right.
I do want to mention that SEIU has a regular program, and just yesterday on their program, they had the director, Don Villar of NABET, as their guest speaker.
I really value the opportunity for CAN TV workers to be able to express their feelings without any threat, in an equal footing with management, because it'll help organizations such as ours. We've been with CAN TV for at least a decade and a half, and hope to continue as well for another decade and a half. CAN TV was set up to express the voices of the 99% in this city, and has done it much more successfully than most public access stations around the country, but still there's work to be done.
Labor Beat, another show on CAN TV, testified at the 1983 cable hearings. We spoke forcefully about the need for production facilities which workers and unions could both afford and have easy access to.
If the three items of importance in real estate are location, 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 the three things on the mind of most Chicagoans are jobs, jobs, jobs. For it is through work that we feed, clothe, and shelter ourselves. But we toil not only for bread, but for roses too. We are not only employees, we are citizens as well. And as such, we want to exercise our rights. The AFL-CIO in Washington has launched an experimental program in 3 cities, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and Seattle, called Cable Line. Also available in the Midwest, Kenosha and Madison, Wisconsin, and Detroit will focus on labor history, union organizing, safety issues, documentaries, and contemporary issues with a labor perspective. The potential for training films and industrial instruction is unlimited. We propose as a segment of public access a labor access channel.
It means a lot to us, those of you that have come today to be here to support us. I am a trainer here, been working here about 16 years. I've seen a lot of changes, and I've also seen a lot of things stay the same, things that I wish had not stayed the same. There's a lot for me to say. I have to gather my thoughts for a second, please. It's difficult for me. It's been very emotional.
There are a lot of emotions. I can personally say it was a myriad of emotions for me. Of course, I was happy and overjoyed that a majority of the workers at CAN TV were for union representation. It felt like a monumental accomplishment for us to come together and finally be heard, you know, because that's not something that I don't think had happened prior to this point. At the same time, it was a little disheartening because CAN TV could have voluntarily recognized the union, but instead they decided to have us go ahead and vote. And then, there were some negative things that happened at the hearing, with intimidation tactics, speaking negatively about some of the employees who had the courage to go there and speak on our behalf. So, again, that was disheartening and very disappointing. It's like at this point, okay, there's a problem. So rather than trying to quash the problem and make it go away and, exert their power over us as management, I would have hoped that they would have been more humble and reasonable and understanding, at this point, because like I said, there's a problem and it needs to be fixed. It needs to be resolved. And, stomping your foot down and trying to intimidate workers when they've gone ahead and done the work and organized to unionize is not going to make it go away.
It was in the fall sometime, the fall of 2014, where my direct boss was berating me about something I had submitted or turned in, and I was like, "Whoa, wait!" I'm like, "Wait, don't talk to me like that." It was just I was asking for a common courtesy, and I'm a human being just like you. I was sitting at my desk. I never stood up if I raised my voice, it was to interrupt his treatment, and remind him, hey, I'm a human being. Don't talk to me that way. I want the respect just like you want it. And that ended up on my review as me raising my voice toward him as in a disrespectful way. And I was like, well, that's not how it happened at all. And I was like, I was really, really bothered by that. But that wasn't the only time. Actually, a year prior, or almost a year prior, I was, we had done a piece on the licenses for undocumented immigrants, and I guess I didn't get the play that they wanted or the collaboration with the Secretary of State that they wanted. And actually, if you go to YouTube and see how many times it's been viewed an awful lot of times. But they didn't like the fact that maybe the Secretary of State connection there was basically ignoring my calls and emails. I don't know why. But they used that against me as well, saying, well, we lost an opportunity for collaboration there. And I'm like, well, how is that my fault? We don't even know what happened there. Why is this being used against me in a review? That's what I thought, but I couldn't tell them that, and they were holding my contract, my new contract, back for me not to protest. If I had protested and called them out on that, I'm sure that little slip of paper would not have come out and I would not have had a job.
I just want to say first off that I appreciate everything CAN TV has done for me. As a long-term employee, I'm grateful to have a job. I'm grateful in this time to have this opportunity to do what I do best, which is I believe my best skill is teaching. I'm a teacher here. So, that being said, I feel that the culture needs to change. I feel that a lot of things here at CAN TV are not the way they should be. There's a lot of cynicism, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of manipulation. We feel that we are not being heard. A lot of our ideas have not been heard. A lot of people have good ideas that go wasted. They go ignored, or they're disdained, or they're even ridiculed, or sometimes even stolen. Some ideas have been taken from us and not even credit has not even been given to us for some of those ideas. So we feel first and foremost that we need to be respected that way. We're tired of being looked down on. We feel that we deserve a lot of better things because of the hard work we do. A lot of us go above and beyond.
Every workplace in America, I don't care if you're for-profit or non-profit, it is an inherent imbalance of power. Supervisor versus supervisee, hire and fire versus I wonder if I'm going to have my job tomorrow if I say something that is disagreed with by management. And that includes here. Now, we sent a letter to Barbara Popovich and the rest of the board the other day, and we outlined this, and I got a call from Barbara yesterday, and I outlined it to her. You don't know what's going on in your workplace. No one does, okay? Yeah. You don't know what's going between Supervisor A and Employee B because they're afraid to tell you.
Well, the working conditions at CAN TV are not favorable for most of the employees there, and that is not an exaggeration. The pay scale is extremely lopsided. You have upper management making 6 figures a year, one in particular making nearly 6 figures a year who's only there 3 days a week. And there's no explanation for that. There's no, just no regard for how a part-timer or a full-timer who's making a fraction of what upper management makes. There's just no regard for how our living, our cost of living and our needs and our feelings are just completely overlooked and disregarded, and that is something that's been going on for years. I mean, I started working at CAN TV November 3rd, 2001. So it'll be 14 years in a couple of months. And to still be part-time, barely getting 20 hours a week in the same position, after I mean, when I started there, I was an undergrad, so since then I've completed my undergraduate studies, completed a master's degree, became a college professor teaching multimedia production, and still feel devalued and unappreciated and stifled and essentially unwanted at a place where I want to be, at a place where I believe wholeheartedly in the mission statement and, you know, am willing to work towards making it a better place. So, you know, after years and years of that, you kind of just check out.
We saw that our experiences in our department were not unique. They reflected pretty much the culture of CAN TV, the culture and the way that things work there. It's very, the top management, essentially, I think they do it knowing that they would need to keep their budget low as far as what they pay their workers. They squeeze you, so you end up leaving, you end up dejected, and with such low morale and such low self-esteem that you feel, I can't do any better, I might as well just stay here and get this low pay. Or you leave, and for whatever reason, but they continue to get paid well, and they don't have to worry about their coworkers. Their workers. So this culture of keeping their foot on their workers exists, and I think that's existed for a long time, as I've learned from my coworkers that have been there for a long time.
Practically since I got here, the management has been telling me things like, we're grooming you for your next job. Your next job, in other words, outside of CAN TV. I'm talking about since 2001. This has been said to me. I've been made to feel unwelcome. I've seen this from other employees too. Other employees have said, I've seen it said to other employees, we're grooming you for your next job. So it's like a revolving door policy, like don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable here. You're not going to be here very long. That's the tone that we've been given. That's the tone that's been set.
This fight, or this organizing drive at CAN TV, it's rooted in social justice. This is what you're all here for, and I'm so moved. But Fight for 15, Arise Chicago, Jobs with Justice, Andy Thayer and your group, and all of us here, we care about social justice. And that's the root of it. It's not just union organizing and how it's all intertwined. We're all connected. All of this is connected. All our movements are connected, and that's one thing I found in this CAN TV organizing. I mean, the work they do, it helps everybody. And it's important we keep and preserve that work and lift these people up, because they are the voice. They provide the voice for the city of Chicago. I mean, I spent my 25 years in broadcast television at Channel 7, WLS TV. But you know how corporate media is, how mainstream media is. It doesn't cover most of these voices. And we need a viable CAN TV that listens to these voices, that provides an avenue for these voices. And unless the employees are treated with respect and live in that same social justice and with that voice, then they will not have fairness here, and the fairness and respect, and truly be, people of social justice. So I'm so proud, and I'm so, honored to work with them, and I'm just so moved by their courage to stand up, to say, hey, I want a voice. I believe in social justice. I'm not just working here. I really believe it, and I'm going to live it.
When the opportunity came for us to unionize, it was like a relief. It was like a breath of fresh air, because it felt like for the first time since I've been there, we were finally being heard. I find it hard to believe that management didn't know. I refuse to believe that they cared. Otherwise, it couldn't have gone on as long as it did. So, it wasn't motivated by some hostile takeover or anything extreme like that. It was just, enough is enough. Your workers deserve and demand to be treated fairly. And, the base of that has got to start with fair wages.
One of them, when we were meeting during the organizing effort, talked about the difficulty of making ends meet, because, every little dollar or every little cent needs to be accounted for. She had, I guess, braces, and now she wears a what do you call it, a retainer, and she accidentally threw the retainer away during dinner, and just how that created a huge emotional response. I mean, she was crying and bawling because she had thrown away a retainer. It was something that cost $200. To somebody that earns a big salary, it's not a big deal, but for us, I mean, $200 seems and feels like actually a huge, huge investment. Top executives who've been there for some years earn really good salaries. They don't, I mean, six-figure salaries. They don't have to worry about throwing away a retainer or student loan payments. I'm sure they have their own expenses and their own life expenses to take care of, but I don't think they know what it is. I don't think they know what their employees go through on the everyday struggle just to make it by, from commuting to putting food on the table to paying rent. I know that they live very comfortable lives.
I look at this union representation as a new partnership. We're definitely grateful and appreciative for all that Don Villar, the president of this local chapter, has done for us to help us get union representation. And I think that it would behoove CAN-TV management to look at this as something positive as opposed to negative. It's definitely going to help facilitate new beginnings and new partnerships, new relationships with other organizations and with the community, within the community that we service here in Chicago. So it's exciting, you know, to have this next chapter unfold and to have been a part of bringing that into fruition. I'm actually super excited about the new facility. I think it's been a long time coming. While, you know, employees weren't necessarily consulted for our input.
I can tell you from my personal experience in the rollout of a new facility, were we ever consulted in advance of the plans as to what we would like to see, what we would like to happen, whether it was practical or not, before the plans were already made? No, they weren't.
We are happy about the end result. We are happy to finally be moving forward, you know, with a brand new facility and with new up-to-date equipment to be available to the community that CAN-TV services. So this is great. This is awesome. But also, you know, we don't want to just put nice, pretty packaging and bow on a bad present or a bad gift. I think the new building should also be symbolic of the change that needs to occur within the organization itself moving forward, and hopefully it will be a complete fresh start and clean slate for CAN-TV in the future.